Greetings, kindred spirits. I just want to apologise if this recording isn't as smooth and flowing as my podcasts normally are. I just apologise for that because my cord broke or my wire broke that fits into the mic. So until I buy a new one, I'm going to have to record on my phone. But I will edit it as best I can to make it more, smoother and kinder to the ears. But anyway, let's get into the full moon first, because I'm going to discuss the full moon. I'm going to discuss a little bit about the Pluto-Saturn conjunction and the Mercury Retrograde. So, it's not going to take long, but I just want to cover these three subjects because I think they all roll into each other this full moon. So the full moon will reach its peak in Leo, in the true lifetime sky on the 9th of February, at 7:33 in the GMT time zone, at 2:33 in the EDT time zone, and at 18:33 in the AEDT time zone. So the full moon this month reaches its peak at 1 degree in Leo in the true lifetime sky, and the sun will be at 20 degrees in Capricorn. The sun will enter into Aquarius on the 16th of February. So this particular full moon's energy creates a deep desire for recognition, especially when it comes to all the hard work we may have been putting into something. Whether that's in relationships or a working environment. The thing is with these placements of the moon and sun is that it can create quite a selfish attitude or a sense of low self-esteem. And I say that because of the aspects of this full moon. Not that we ourselves may show these traits, but it could be that we are on the receiving end of it. However, if we are truly in a place of alignment and contentedness, then we can rise above the nitty-grittiness of the energies coming in. For some it could be that they are putting in so much time and effort into a project or their work that they could be neglecting certain people in their lives, or maybe even neglecting their health. Since the sun is the ruler of Leo and does rule the 6 hours of work and health. In the true lifetime sky, that is. So I would definitely recommend some time out to smell the roses and to create some playtime. We also have 2 T-squares this full moon. And full moons do represent what we need to wrap up and let go of. Or what we need to, it's about an ending of a cycle to begin anew. So it's about letting go of stagnant energy, basically, so we can move into new energy. So both these T-squares do show a high level of sensitivity or a vulnerability when it comes to us expressing our emotions. Some may hold back too much, while others can go over the top. So we must continue to work on maintaining a balance, either within our own emotional makeup, or to consider the people around us. Whatever the case, time management is definitely needed. The Saturn Pluto conjunction are now currently at 2 degrees in separation, which is an energy that we have become accustomed to over the last month or so. Actually the coming together of a conjunction is more potent than a separation. So we will slowly start to feel like we are getting back on track, especially mentally. And even more so since they are no longer creating a T-square, with the nodes and other planets as they were throughout 2019. Although we are now seeing globally the impact that these 2 dynamic planets created. When they dominate the planetary energies, wow, it's heavy. But when they both enter into retrograde around April or May time, there will be a deep reflection of the events or situations that have taken place throughout their time in conjunction. It could be for some, and even globally, that we go back over old ground. Maybe for a deeper understanding of the impact they have created, or we could even go through a reoccurrence of certain situations in some way. And as with Mercury retrograde, we entered into the shadow of the Mercury retrograde on the 2nd of the 2nd, 2020, which was a significant day as both the 2222 and the 0000 frequencies were being emitted. Mercury won't actually go into retrograde until the 17th of February 2020, which will be the same, and the Sun will move into Aquarius just the day before. So when Mercury does start his retrograde, the Sun will still be at 0 degrees in Aquarius. Mercury will start his retrograde at 15 degrees. But getting back to the shadow, on the 2nd of the 2nd, 2020, I always say that the shadow on both sides of the actual retrograde itself can often be just as strong and significant as the retrograde itself. So Mercury will end his retrograde on the 10th of March 2020 at 0 degrees Aquarius, which means that he will retrograde back to the place where the Sun was when he first started his retrograde motion. When Mercury does end his retrograde, the Sun itself would have reached 22 degrees in Aquarius. So I feel that this retrograde holds a great influence and significance, to the 0202 2020. I don't know if they call it a portal or just a frequency. But, that day will hold a strong significance throughout this Mercury retrograde, especially as those number zeros and twos are popping up. But again, if you can understand that, that I've just ruled off, then, it's full of synchronicities and, it does show the rest of this month of February going into March is likely to be a highly sensitive time. And the reason why I say that is because, 0 actually represents the energy of Pluto. It is the 0 point energy, whilst the 22 frequency represents the Earth and its awakening code when it comes to the material realm. 11 is more the manifesting into spirit, but the 22 is manifesting into matter. So I really do feel that that particular day, the 2nd of February 2020, was the finalization of the Saturn Pluto exact conjunction energetically. So as the 0 also represents the universe and divine conception, but also limitation and imperfection in its shadow. And the 22, although considered auspicious when it comes to manifestation into the physical world, we first must overcome illusion and materialism first before we can raise our vibration or reap the rewards of that energy. So in all, I would say that as Mercury enters into shadow mode, or entered into shadow mode on that significant day, that the self-reflection needed throughout this retrograde in Aquarius will be one of spiritual enlightenment and a recognition of our weaknesses as a collective when it comes to materialism. There will always be challenges to overcome on our path in life, no matter how evolved or above the rat race we think we are. Not that we on a personal level are not aware or a learned person, but how can stability be a permanent thing when the earth herself and even the universe itself doesn't hold complete stability? We must see it that every day is a new day, and there will always be twists and turns along the way. It is the law of nature and the universe to live under the energy of polarity. It's how we use those energies and ride the waves that is more significant than to become the perfect being or to create the perfect life. So as Mercury turns retrograde on the 17th of February, he will be in conjunction to Neptune, square the Moon, sextile Jupiter, and trine to the North Node. And this will be a highly imaginative and creative time, as long as we don't have any emotional issues to deal with. Like I always say, although this isn't a time to push forward on anything new when Mercury goes into retrograde, or to sign any contracts or buy any electrical or mechanical equipment, it is a time to keep a journal, especially when Neptune is in conjunction, because all sorts of creative thoughts can flow at this time. Philosophy or the metaphysical sciences could also be quite a theme at this time too. Although I would say that throughout the time of this Mercury retrograde, a lot of past history could also be highlighted. Especially ancient history or even ancestry or even old emotional wounds. Maybe gaining a better understanding of our past. The sun will be at 0 degrees in Aquarius, as I said. With this placement, there will be quite a significance when the Mercury retrograde comes to an end on the 10th of March. So the theme in this respect is all about us discovering our hidden talents or achieving a high level of understanding them. The energy is likely to be high. So it will also be important that we channel that energy into something positive or creative so it doesn't become stagnant. This can be a highly positive time where much self-improvement can be had. And that's not to say that it's needed as such, but when the opportunity presents itself for us to heighten our gifts or our awareness, then we should always be open to that and in a place of acceptance to truly make the most of this Mercury retrograde process. Mercury retrograding for Aquarius is always a favourite time for me personally. I have a love of ancient history and I love creating the new out of the old. And that is another passion that may arise for many when it comes to recycling. This is about recycling, but it is also about the cycles and patterns of life and gaining a great understanding of them. I've got my moon conjunct Jupiter and Chiron in Aquarius, so this is a very big energy for me, so that's why I personally love this time. But we can all tap into that energy. We've all got Aquarius in our charts. So let's watch that space, especially when it comes to art, archaeology, historical revelations and the like. But also watch out for heightened awareness or psychic reveals. And as always, keep it real and stay authentic. Peace and much love.